Hi, welcome to today's tutorial. We are going to draw illustrative figures or little people, that's how I call them. Maybe you would like to include small figures into your drawing for storytelling, for composition, for scale, or maybe just for fun. I hope that today you will find a few tips that will allow you to draw these figures a bit easier. My name is Daria and I share drawing tips online as Daria Drawing, and I'm also the author of the upcoming book, The Drawing Habit. I started to draw about 3 years ago, and I found out that the best way to improve was to repeat for muscle memory, visual library, and that's how I improve myself, and I hope today you will experience that. All you need is paper, a pen, preferably a fine liner, but any pen will do, or a sharp pencil. And also you will need a few color pencils just to add a bit of color. So if you're ready, let's get started, and don't forget to share your drawings with me. That would make me very happy. You can simply comment under this video or tag me as Daria Drawing, and I would love to share your drawings with others for more inspiration. So let's get started and enjoy. Alright, let's get started. So I've got the materials right here. I place my paper this way and we're going to practice. We first start practicing the 3 dots method. So we divide the body largely into equal parts, the upper body and the lower body. Start by placing the dots. Let's place quite a few, as the more you repeat these figures, the easier it will become to draw them. You can draw their upper body and notice that I don't close my lines, so that I have some highlights and some flexibility. These figures are so small, you don't need much to draw. Use quick strokes for legs. Like that. You can also draw not just straight lines, but a bit curvy lines, like that. Try a few times so that you get comfortable. Next, what I do is I draw feet. Little feet like that. And notice that you can close this line here or not, so just however you feel better, like little feet. So you can draw a person walking easily if you draw the feet one in front of another, just like that. Like that. Well, that maybe was a little bit too curvy. But anyway, the person is walking. And this one too, and this one too. And then you notice that when you add other details, so some imperfection becomes like part of it and adds a character. So don't worry about that. When I draw the head, I usually draw it last, and I try to find the right proportion, because that's what makes the figure really looks more realistic, so that the head is not too big, neither too small. Just add a little bit, little by little, and stop when you feel that it's the right size, like that. And you can change a little bit where the person is kind of looking to the left, or looking to the right. Oh, that's a bit weird. Is it? No. Maybe they're looking at each other, like hello there. And that one is walking. And by the way, you can also leave slight, like little highlights on the hair, just for like extra little detail. That's all the little, every little detail will add up. That was like the first quick warm-up. Now let's add more details and we try these figures here. Let's just move. So again, we start with dots. Just draw right away. So for the girl, the shoulders a bit like narrow, and then I draw sort of like a jacket, something like that. There's a few lines. And here, they're a little bit like curvy. And I don't close the line, but then I can draw little, there were heels. What is she wearing? And the detail that I really like a lot is the shadow from the clothes, because it's just so easy to add and looks so good. Then I add her back, and it also has, you know, some movement in it. I can make it black if I want to. And then the hair. Again, you can leave some highlights, maybe. Just a little bit. So that's the girl, and then they add the guy. And I quite often add hands in the pockets, and then he's standing and probably looking at the girl. Black. Maybe his feet now a little bit too short, but I can add a bit of a shadow and it looks better. And for the girl too. Like that. Let's add a few more figures and I'll show you how to add some details for character. And the dots. And some more. Again, let's add the upper body, lower body. So even when the figures now look like similar, with a few details, we can change them. So then let's add here. Maybe add the back, big back. Somebody's going to work with the shadow, like that. Then and the feet. Then different style. So like black and white figures. Then we can add different hair. Like that. Again, we can add the back. I forgot the shadows. Let's add the shadows. some hands. And then we can add the backpack. Then we can add the figure, like I said, walking. And again, some, maybe we can add like little dog. And somebody who's just looking away. Again, feel free to add hair. Maybe has sort of like some bag with, maybe there's some traveling somewhere or something like that. And so it's kind of like similar base, but with a few changes. Everybody is unique. And also remember that you can make the dots on different levels, and they will be also a bit different height, and that will be even more variety. Now what we can do is we can add some color. And when I add color, I try to leave some white space for highlights. So it's kind of like a sloppy coloring, I would say. Well, let's make also his jacket pink, and then it adds some gray, and maybe some gray here, and the blue jeans, another person with blue jeans, and maybe brown jacket, brown pants, also brown pants, and just totally brown suit maybe. The backpack, and people surprisingly use a lot of dark colors. So for the face, since I don't draw the details, I leave the details out, but I can add some color. And let's add pants like this color, be some more. And again, maybe some green jacket and green pants, and some orange here, and color for the back. So something like that, and you can even add the ground. These little figures. You know where they are. I've got, by the way, shadow here. So like that. And now the second exercise. So we again use 3 dots, and we draw the figures in slightly different poses. Place the dots. Like so, and then this person slightly slouching, and this one is walking. This one is feet apart. then if you want to draw the arm, so one advice is this place where you want it to end, so around here, and then add the line for it, like that. So then again, some sort of shape, hands maybe behind, standing, and a bit different, but that happens. Let's add right away, actually. So let's figure, little figure. We can actually add the shadows, why not? 1 foot, another foot, some shadows, and walking. Standing like so, looking. They're talking to each other or something. And this one. And it's like, hello, hello, how you doing? Sort of thing. Forgot the line here, by the way. Maybe a shadow. And maybe I will make some hands here. Can make even longer shadows if you want. Why not? Yep. And one more exercise where we are actually going to use 4 dots. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and we divide again into equal parts. And here is just approximate body parts, very approximate, because we have person or people dressed, which can actually distort the proportion or change the proportion quite a lot, whether you are wearing some high waist jackets or low waist pants and heels, and so many things that actually can change the proportions. What you want to remember, in fact, that where you can use some changes. So for instance, here we have shoulders, so that kind of drops down, and then it gets a bit wider, or again, actually narrow, whatever you want, what kind of waist you want. So here, very often people bend their arms so that we can show it like this. And then here, very often again, we can imagine somewhere here we have knees, which can mean that we can have a coat that is maybe above the knee or where the knee is or below the knee, but around here. And then we have also plates for the ankles. Again, we can make his legs a bit longer or shorter, depending where we want to put his feet. So that's kind of all intuitive, and this is also the reason why I say I put the head last, because then when the whole body is kind of drawn, then I can finally balance everything with his head. And it's always a bit of improvisation. Now I suggest that we will draw these figures somewhere here in the center and leave some space, because later, once we got those figures, we will use figures to create scale for the plants, or to create scale in some sort of landscape design scene. And we will use this division into parts to estimate how big the plants are. For instance, here I decided that every time I will have plus half a meter. So I can start with half a meter shrub, then I will add 1 meter tall perennial plant or grasses, and then finally I can add a small tree that has trunk about 1.5 meters, and then some crown. And again, I can make the crown bigger or smaller, but I can estimate the size of it because I have this figure. And let's do that. We will first start with the line for the ground, and somewhere in the center we will put 4 dots, and there are 2 ways to do that. So you can first place the dots and then place 2 more, or you can do it again like that. So whatever method you would prefer. Once we have this dot, we'll start with shoulders, then we go somewhere where the waist is, draw his coat and legs and his little collar. Let's add the shadow from the coat, maybe some details, and the feet. Now draw his head little by little. So start small and then add. All right, and we can draw another figure. So for instance, I can use actually this guy as a reference, this man as a reference for the figure. Draw the coat and the feet and a bit of a shadow and the feet, like that. Maybe also some sort of a color. We can add a few lines, the shadow, just to add some contrast. And now let's make the guidelines for the plants. So here we have the knees, which means that around here will be half a meter. Here is the waist, around 1 meter high, then 1.5 meters. So if this is 1.5 meters plus the head, it would make, and plus the feet, it would make around 1.7 meters, which is maybe average. So that's now, when we have the guidelines, we can easily estimate the size. And I draw a little shrub, just some doodles for the shrub. For the grasses, I use upwards quick stroke, that, just a few dots. And some more. And then you can also just continue with some line to suggest the background, that there is something going on. Like that. And I can also place a tree. Maybe I place it somewhere here. So as I said, the trunk is about 1 meter, 1.5 meters. And for the foliage, you can add a few dots, like a dot line, to estimate what kind of crown you want, and then you just draw the foliage. And break it like that. maybe it's a little cherry tree or something like that. Few dots here and there for the leaves. You can draw a few individual leaves. You can even make a little opening here to put some branches. So, and then maybe a few lines for the shadow, like that. So that's a tree. Now we can estimate how wide we want this path to be. So again, let's say that was 1/2 meter. Can leave maybe 1 meter, so that the whole path would be like around 2 meters comfortably. They can walk, maybe meet another couple. Again, here I can make an imaginary guideline, or I can actually draw it with dots. But around here, draw my shrub. And then I can draw some small perennial, maybe around 30 centimeters now tall, small like that. And then maybe something bigger, something that will be around 1 meter. Just add some dots. The flowers. Again, suggest that there is something else going on. Some more plants. I will place actually a similar tree. So just 1 dot for where I want the trunk to be. The trunk here. Also, you can draw the trunk first, scene, and then add a few lines if you want to make it bigger. So, because it's much easier to add up rather than to take something out, since we are not using the eraser. So then 1 dot approximately for the size of the tree. We repeat the same thing. Don't close your lines, that you will have some highlights. And just draw a few doodles to suggest the foliage. If you want, maybe opening, maybe not necessarily. A few leaves. And some contrast. Yeah, that's little thing like that. Maybe I can also put some here for the repetition, for interest, to suggest that this is some park. And another line for the ground. And this is actually called the section drawing for landscape design, but since it's just an exercise, we won't draw the sort of final sketch. So this is just to practice quickly, so that you can draw it actually a few times to get comfortable. If you want, you can add a few lines for to suggest some sky, and of course you can continue again with a few lines, suggest that there is maybe some more trees, and so can let your imagination go and draw the whole thing. But for quick practice, that will do. And one more thing that you can also imagine that you would first draw these compositions, this planting, and then you don't have the people, and you don't really know how big is the trees. And then you can actually imagine that you would draw this size people, for instance. They're slightly smaller. Or maybe even this couple here next to your trees. And that will look different. So that's what the figure will do. The same kind of trees and different scale. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for following it, and I wish you all the best with your drawing journey.